Welcome to episode number 7 of my Hovercraft Origin series. This is a AMT 1/25th scale 1951 Chevrolet Bel Air. Don't mistake it for the iconic 57 Chevy. These fins came off a 59 Chrysler Imperial. And that's not the only Chrysler product on this car. Believe it or not, it's got a Hemi. I'm not joking.
Hey, that thing got a Hemi?
Well, you better believe it. This would most definitely be the villain car in a sci-fi post-apocalypse movie about flying cars. George Miller, give me a call. I got some ideas.
Where's this thing gonna be?
That cannot be good for your teeth. Let's check out the front of this beast. Not a lot of modifications up here, but I did hollow out the grille, added each individual strip of styrene to give the grille a pass-through appearance. I put some headlight bezels on. The front thrusters are made from quite a few Gundam parts. This piece here with the detail and the small holes on it, I believe that was from a Gundam weapon. That's one. And then you have this plate. You have this wing flap. And the second ring in, it's brass colored with the split in it. Those are also Gundam pieces. And when I pull this off, you can see that the back side is one additional Gundam piece. So that's 5 Gundam pieces out of probably 8. I did put a few details in there that I've made out of styrene, but the majority of this thruster is Gundam details, and they really come in handy. Here's a look at the suspension. I always try to use the suspension that came with the original model kit. I did add a few extra pieces on this one to beef it up. You can see there's that shock absorber and that spring are not original. Those were added. And those were added because you can see I had to add a piece of frame under the car to hold all this suspension on. So I beefed it up quite a bit. In fact, that lower control arm is a Gundam piece as well. So in order to make the cars look cool, I like to push the thrusters in close to the body instead of having them stick out far. And in order to do that, I did need to recess the door panels and the fender. I cut a line along this piece of chrome trim here. I used my X-Acto blade to carve out this section of the door panel and the fender, like so. Here's a few photos of the work as it was being done. Installed a gusset on the lower and upper part of the panel. And lastly, I installed some heat plates to deflect some of the heat off the door from the thruster. And as you can see, the thruster fits inside that cavity that I created. And it gives it a cool look. It's a subtle look. You almost wouldn't see it if you didn't know it was there. But once you do know it's there, you're like, man, that's freaking cool. All right, time to look at the rear thrusters. As I've said in many of my previous videos, I try to make the cylindrical thrusters, the turbines, out of wheel rim. These thrusters are made from wheel rims from a Walker Bulldog model. I make every effort to disguise these as best I can, so you really can't see the wheel rims from this side very well. Flap I'm lifting up, this little winglet. This was made from the section of the car that I removed. It has the same curvature as the body. I just put it on there for a little side detail. You can almost never have too much detail. So let's look at the original 51 Bel Air. You'll notice the back end needs a little love. It's, to me, not a very pretty back end. It needs a little modernization. It looks droopy. It looks frumpy. We need to give it a little pep. If you've seen a few of my other cars, you may notice I have the habit of removing the rear end of the car and doing some crazy stuff. So that's exactly what we did here. I was unhappy with the look of the rear of the car. So I got my X-Acto blade out and cut along the panel line on the rear window. And I cut along the fenders, removed the entire rear of the car. And you'll never believe what I did. I put a Hemi in there.
Think out a Hemi?
I'm getting to it. Let me turn it up on its side to see. See all that junk down in there? That's an illusion. That's a false panel. Grab onto the little tail fin here and pull out. This piece is held by friction. And you can see the false panel. I decorated that with any engine components you could think of. I got a turbo in there, pulley, and a belt, air cleaners, pipes, hoses. See this here that I'm pointing at? This rounded rear section. And this one here. See this? That's from a 71 Hemi Cuda.
Sweet.
I told you I put a Hemi in there. If you look inside where the X-Acto blade's pointing, you can see the back side of the wheel rims from the Walker Bulldog tank model. I love these little tail fins. They are hinged, help with maneuverability, I would assume. And these, one of my favorite parts of Chrysler Imperial tail fin. The way they continue the trim line on the window, that straight trim line, I think it looks awesome. And that's one of the things I try to do in my cars, is not just make them look like they're functional, but I do like them to have a cool factor to them. I put a visor on this as well. You know, I love my visors. All right, showed you the back. Let's take a look under the front. What in the heck? Rat's nest of plumbing, hoses, wires, pipes, windshield washer reservoirs, power steering reservoirs. I think I even see a turbo in there. But I just wanted to fill the compartment with some believable mechanical parts. Filled it with grime, made it look like an engine compartment, or it basically would be the pipe compartment. There's the grill that I was talking about earlier. You can see where I've glued the strips in, and look at that side profile. This is something I really love, is to have all the gadgets under the car showing on a side profile. And you talk about Gundam parts, this is the Gundam God. There's a ton of Gundam parts in there. Also, check out the frame. I did add some frame made out of styrene rod to mount the front suspension to. That's why that front suspension is so beefed up. 2 additional thrusters and a single center thruster to get the car off the ground. I love this car. It's a sleeper. It's one that you might not give a second look at, but it's got a ton of details on it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, as it will help the channel grow. And if you want to see the next video in this series, please click the link above. Thank you for watching.